Good day. I know that you are very ready and excited for your research. However, we have to start with the first step, which is to determine the research problem. Research problem exists when first, there is an absence of information resulting in a gap of our knowledge. Second, there are contradictory results or findings. And third, a fact exists when you intend to make your study explain it. When we talk about research problem, the first thing that may come to our mind is the term gap. Of course, when you think of a problem, there is probable solution to it. There is something that is lacking. That's why you are studying a certain issue or a certain concern. There is still a gap or something that you are blind about. If there is something or a problem that it's already solved and there's no information that you need to understand more about that, it's no longer a research problem because you already have the solution to it. When you come across with different literatures, you, let's say, read a portion of the results and the findings, and you found out that there are a lot of researches almost the same context and topic, yet they have different results. That is the time wherein problem exists. And that is the time wherein you can found or you can find a problem out of it. Also, when there is a problem, of course, you can explain. You can explain that this exists because of certain issues, because of certain things. There are sources of a good research problem. First, personal experiences in life. It is good that we are in psychology because we are dealing with how we think, how we behave, how we act. And our personal experiences really matter because from there, we learn how we think of a certain issue. We know and explain how we respond to a given situation, how we dwell on our life experiences. And that is a source of a problem, a research problem. Existing programs that need to be improved. Mental health, let's say, is very rampant nowadays, and there are a lot of programs existing as to how to maintain good, sound mental health. However, we can test whether the programs developed are really good and effective to maintain sound mental health. So there is an existing program and you want to improve it, that can be a good source of a problem. Further inquiry of a conducted study. Let's say you conducted a study before and you realize there are still a lot of gap to answer. There are still a lot of issues to talk about. That is a good source of a problem. And of course, you can also consult with experts. Consultation with experts let you decide on, is this really a good title or a good problem, or is this something that I can work on until the end? So look at the sources of good research problem and eventually with the help of this, you can come up with your own. Another sources of good research problems are as follow. Extensive readings in the libraries, because when you read, of course, you come across with literatures, with studies that you can look at the recommendation, let's say, or information. There is still something good about this topic that I can look into. Also, current issues. You watch the television or you look at different social medias, gadgets, and you will realize there what is happening now that I can do something on my research. What is happening now that I can study, I can investigate further. And then interesting observations. Just look by just sitting down at the corner or sitting down, let's say outside, you can actually have in mind or think of a problem. This is happening. These are the behavior of people. So out of this, what can I do? And then, of course, through seminars and lectures that you attended. Let us take note that a good research problem should have these characteristics: SMART, specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, time-bound. You have to make sure that even if it is a problem, you have to be specific. What problem would I like to really solve? Measurable. So this has something to do with instrument. Later you will see what does it mean by measurable. And attainable. Of course, you have to work on with the tests, the instruments that you will use for your problem to determine the problem. Realistic, hindi naman joke, no? Dapat nangyayari talaga yung problem. And time-bound. Is it something that is existing at the present and needs solution at the present? So further, specific, variables are clearly stated, relationships are properly stated, so it is clear what is your independent and the dependent variable. Measurable, you have to make sure that it's not just the problem, but you have the available research instruments to measure it. Attainable, you have your tools, statistical tools, and there are applicable statistics that you can use to solve the problem. Realistic, results are empirical nor manipulated. And in relation, it is also time-bound. Time frame is essential to complete the study. Realistic, this is happening, this is existing, yet the next question is, can I finish it on time? Can I have it at this point? Let us take note, there are still restrictions on our movements, on our actions. So time is very important because you only have less than 6 months to finish your proposal and another less than 6 months to prepare your manuscript. Other characteristics of good research problem: timely, up-to-date, researchable through scientific method, innovative, relevant, and beneficial to good number of people. It's not easy to look into problem because we have to consider these things. And if you look at it and reflect on it, problem should be of importance. There is an essence of having the problem, solving the problem. If it's just something that you are interested with and it will not contribute much to our field, our knowledge, you have to look again and reflect, see other problems. It should be interesting, challenging, with enough related readings. That's the reason also why I ask you to read and to submit 10 related literature to ensure that your topic is really researchable. Because if you cannot search, you cannot look into supporting literatures, it's not a good problem at all. Significant to local and national development. Soon as you have identified your problem, you have to make the topic more specific and definite. Start defining your major terms and survey the literature. So if you have in mind a problem, okay, the next thing to do is, I have this, what are my variables? I have to define and I have to look for literatures that will assist me. Let us talk about the research title. After you realize what problem will you dwell on your study, the next thing to do is to compose a good and scholarly title for your research. These are the characteristics of a good title. First, show the variables and their relationship. By just looking at the title, you will realize or you can identify your variables, the independent, and the dependent variables of your study, and whether you will determine the relationship existing between and among the variables. So, if it's a good title, dapat nakikita na doon kung ano yung pag-aaralan mo at ano yung gusto mong makuha doon sa yung pag-aaralan. Second, contain the target respondents or the participants so that it is clear itong study na to or itong pag-aaral na to ay para kanino. Who will really benefit from the study that you would like to do or accomplish. Another characteristic of a good title contain the setting or the locale of the study. This actually sets the limitations that since this study is conducted in this particular place, the culture, the environment of this place have something to do, with the result. And this is only the scope of the study that I, let's say, investigate or accomplish. Next, not more than 20 constitutive words. So you have to count the words on your title because if it's too long, it seems like it's a paragraph. It's not a paragraph. A title should not be a complete sentence. It is not stated in a sentence, a complete sentence. So you have to count the number of wordings, not too many, and not more than 20. Also, a good title should not begin with the phrases like a study of and an investigation on because it's given that when you conduct a research, it's already a study, it's an investigation of something. So it's redundant if you put there the terms study or investigation. Let us try to compare these two titles and determine which among the two is the good title. The relationship between creativity and music achievement. Compare with creativity and music achievement among grade 6 students in selected public schools in Indang, Cavite. If you compare, let us go back with the characteristics of a good title. First, the variables are shown. So it is clear that the variables to be studied are creativity and music achievement. Relationship is shown because you stated here on the first title the relationship and on the second title the end between creativity and music achievement. Okay. The next is the participants should be stated. So on the second title, the participants are the grade 6 students and the local public schools in Indang, Cavite. So if we are going to choose between these two, so definitely we will choose this one because it possesses the characteristics of a good title. Let's move on. A comparison of grade 4 gifted and non-gifted children. Compare with self-concept and parent identification among grade 4 gifted and non-gifted children in the division of Cavite. Of course, we will choose this one because in here, it's only stated that we will compare the gifted and the non-gifted children. However, what are the variables that we would like to measure and compare? And grade 4 students, there are a lot of grade 4 students. What is the local? So this one is a good title. Next, a study of the relationship of self-acceptance, adjustment, and achievement of children. Compare with self-acceptance, adjustment, and academic achievement of selected high school students in Indang, Cavite. One of the rules is that we omit a study investigation because it is already given that we are going to conduct the research. In here, the variables are stated, pareho naman, hindi ba? However, this is more specific. There are three variables that will be studied, and then these are the participants and the locale of the study. And it's also clear that we will describe and correlate the three variables with each other. Other ways to state the research title. Of course, there are different designs. The first titles that I presented to you are more likely quantitative in nature. This time, this is qualitative. So there are ways to state a good title. Let's say, The Quality of Life of Typhoon Sendong Survivors. Their general well-being, impact of event, and life effectiveness. You see the dot dot, it adds flavor to your good or to your title. The path towards post-traumatic growth of Typhoon Sendong survivors. And also Sandala ng Tahanan, a qualitative study on Filipino gay males acquiring the Tagasalo role. Actually, I have comment on this kasi di ba sabi, hindi na daw dapat dinadagdag ito. Pero I think it is added in here just to show that this is a qualitative study. So you can be creative enough to formulate your research title. Don't forget the characteristics. You also count the number because the number of words should not more than 20. And you see the titles are not in sentences. And it's attractive. When you look at the title, you already know the topic that you will dwell or you will work on with your research. Take note of the characteristics and good luck as you formulate your working research title. Thank you. I hope that you have your title already. Work on with your group. The next thing that you have to accomplish is this topic proposal form in preparation for your title defense next meeting. So in this form, you have to write the names of the proponents of the research, of course, your year, course, and section, your working title. Working title because this one might change as we go over with the topic that you would like to have on your study. So at least you have your working title. Try to formulate and consider the characteristics of a good research title. I would also want you to have a short description in less than 100 words of your proposal or the abstract. In here, you have to introduce the topic that you would like to accomplish or conduct to do for your research, and then give me a background of what are you going to measure, who are the participants, the target locale, the method that you wish to use on your study. Of course, you cannot come up with this without reading enough literatures that will support or contradict your statements. At the end part of the form, there is the final recommendation, approved or disapproved. So, of course, we are aiming for the approval of your working title so that you can proceed with the next step. So, good luck.